So is this the end of the GT2RS? What is happening with Porsche's 918 replacement? Is it ever going to happen? Cristiano Ronaldo has just added something amazing to his fleet of cars. Find out all of this in today's episode. Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the GVE London Podcast, where we discuss everything supercar related. As always, joined by George and Andreas. Let's get to it. Okay, so in industry news, Porsche had released some information like a couple of years ago about the Mission X being released, which would have rivaled the W1 and the Ferrari F80, right?
Would have tried to rival them.
Tried to rival them.
Being an all-electric hypercar.
So the Mission X was going to be fully...
Complete electric.
Electric, yeah. So
that was the problem.
The understanding now is that they might not even do it.
I don't blame them. I mean, when you look at what McLaren have released and what Ferrari have released, they have released some masterpieces when it comes to the hypercar world. The W1 already turning heads and people paying extreme overs to try and get the slot. And then you've got Ferrari, which once again have now hit new heights with list price, talking the best part of £4 million to go and spec your own F80. And now Porsche to go and rival that, which are combustion engines mixed with hybrid power. How can you release another or full electric hypercar and expect it to be the next Holy Trinity? They're not comparable. It's like one's a complete electric car, the other one's a hybrid. And your true petrol heads. So you've seen what Lotus done with the Avia, their all-electric hypercar. It was breaking records. It's meant to be one of the perfect track cars, but it doesn't give the driver that engagement, that drama that you get with combustion engines.
In the Avia, having a hot lap around their test track in Norwich, and it was definitely the fastest thing I've ever sat in, right? And they had a professional race driver taking us around. But it just, like you're saying, there's zero emotion to it all. Yeah. It's just so boring and dull, really, like to think.
Not very exciting when it still makes the same noises as a milk float.
Yeah,
Although it might be a lot quicker, but it's just that noise.
Yeah, it's just a whining noise that you've got in that car, whereas like it's lost all that kind of drama that you get when you're sitting in one of these Ferraris. I think even a SF90 or something like that, even though it's half the speed of it, it was a lot more exciting. Yeah. And I'd be surprised to see if Lotus did sell out on those. I don't think they would have.
There was a customer of ours, when they were offering these cars, I think about a year or 2 years ago, to put their interest in, they could not get enough people to register their interest at the time, which is why I think the whole idea of these cars going for premiums went out of the window. Yeah, just people were speculating, saying they're not going to keep it, because it comes back to the point that someone who spends $1 million, $2 million, $3 million on a car, how many of those people are actually going to track it, or actually going to use it to its full capacity? Not many. You either have it there sat there as a masterpiece or a showpiece in your garage, or you take it out for a quick drive and you get that thrill from driving up to 50 or 60 miles an hour, knowing that it just feels so special.
So I'll say, so on Shmi's video, which he released, the reason why he sort of was pushing towards the Porsche topic with his Mission X not happening is just because of the lack of the interest of lack of sales of these electric hypercars. You look at the Rimats, you're looking at the Pininfarina, who was saying there's just no demand for them. So, and then this is where Porsche had a really big decision to say, how are we going to crack that electric hypercar market? You know, this is a big risk for the brand. You know, we could lose credibility if we're going to launch a full electric hypercar in this market. It could be a failure. You know, they could put all this money into this car and then no one's going to buy it. And that's another probably reason why I don't think they're probably going to scrap it. I think they're probably just going to go back to the droing board and then maybe just add a combustion engine. You mean, look at Bugatti, what they did with the Tourbillon. Yeah. They could have easily just been a Rimac rebadged as a Bugatti, but then they didn't. They went and developed a full new V16 because of what Mate Rimac was saying about the emotion behind a combustion engine. And I think Porsche had probably gone, you know what, this is what we need to do as well. It's so important for these hypercars to have a combustion engine going forward, you know. But also, he was saying in the video was about how the EU regulations are changing every year, and how they've got a stranglehold on the manufacturers of what we can and can't produce. You know, so they're saying that vehicle manufacturers producing less than 1,000 can produce certain amount of car engines, so V12s to 1,000 to 10,000, like Ferrari can't produce them anymore. You know, so it's about also what they can physically produce now compared to what we want. And that's the
interesting thing here is that the whole ban of internal combustion engines was meant to happen a lot sooner than it's going to happen now.
2030.
They were saying 2030, and now they've pushed it back again.
Okay, fine.
So where the likes of Ferrari was saying that the 812 Competizione was going to be the very last V12, then they're going to release the Pura Sangue, and now they've got the V12 Cylindri. Lamborghini was saying, well, people were thinking that the Aventador Ultima was going to be the very last V12 they've done. Now they've gone and made the Revuelto, and there's talks of them bringing another Roadster out, which probably will have a V12. It's almost like, are the regulations and are the rules now weakening a bit, allowing the manufacturers wider scope to go and make these cars that where their heart desires? Like, so with Lambo and Ferrari with the V12s, and is that a reason why Porsche have now all of a sudden said, why are we rushing so quick into making this full electric hypercar when clearly there is still money being made from ICE cars?
No, so here's an interesting one, right? Like, if you look at the actual impact of mining for the natural materials that are used within electric car battery, I'd actually go as far as saying it has more of a negative impact on the world and the environment as a whole than actually, you know, just getting fuel in a normal combustion engine, right? And there's a few reasons why here. Like, firstly, you need 3 major components to make these batteries, which are, I think, nickel, cobalt, and lithium, right? And the only way you can do that is by deforestation and whatnot, and you have to dig really deep into the ground to get these kind of things, right? But then so then the processes that are used in order to get just enough material for one battery require God knows how many thousands of liters of fuel, of fossil fuels, in order to get that material for one battery. Then on top of that, then you have to decide when that battery fails, where you're going to recycle it. Because at the moment, there's no clear way to recycle these batteries. And then also, when you want to recharge that battery, it takes a big demand on the grid, right? So then the question is, how is the grid getting its power? Because typically, the grid gets its power from fossil fuels as well. So you're using coal and whatnot. At the moment, we are not a country that relies on solar or wind power for their energy sources, right? So if you combine all of those things versus just making a normal combustion engine, you'd actually say, 1 second, this is a little bit stupid, because it had less impact on the environment with the old style than it does with these batteries, which we think at the moment are the best way going forward, you know?
100%. Yeah, I agree with everything you said there.
Thanks. Okay, and actually to summarize it, right? The total amount of CO2 emissions that you get out of a normal naturally aspirated car is around 44,000 metric tons of CO2. And that includes the manufacturing process, and that includes, you know, the average lifespan of a car that you'll use it within. The same stats for a electric car, so basically manufacturing and then during its usage, is 38,000. So it's only 6,000 difference. And this is approximate, by the way, but 6,000 metric tons of CO2 difference in the impact it has on the environment. However, the big thing is what the hell do you do with the batteries? Whereas at least, you know, with a naturally aspirated car, you can go and stick it in a yard, they're going to crush it, they're going to recycle that metal, they're going to do something with it. Whereas you can't do that with batteries that are that big, you know, as big as they are in Teslas and whatnot, right? But, you know, as crazy as this is, like, it still seems that the market is still heading that way, where they're just tightening regulations so much. And I think even Shmi said it the other day about the Porsche, right? The GT2RS, right? That there's murmurs coming out of the Porsche factory that they're probably not going to make that at all. That'd be devastating for Porsche fans, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, going from the 997, the GT2RS, those are trading for about $500,000 at the moment. Then moved on to the 991 Gen 2 GT2RSs. those are still, I mean, probably one of the most sought after GT cars Porsche have made till date. And everyone was getting super excited, thinking that there's going to be a 992 Gen 2 GT2RS.
Well, one of our friends is looking at, is contemplating selling his 3RS right now, thinking, do you know what, I'll sell it now in anticipation of the 2, because I'm probably going to get the 2.
Yeah.
And but now, imagine if he does that and then realizes that the 2's not coming. That'd be bad, right? It is.
It's funny because it seems like depending on whichever Porsche dealer you speak to or whichever salesperson you have, they're giving different advice. So some people have got, someone who's got a GT3 RS at the moment, and he said to him, don't sell it, keep it, because when the GT2 RS comes out, you're going to want to give that back in part exchange. That's going to be one of the stipulations for you to get this car. And then it's funny, the other guy is now saying, no, I need to sell it so I can go and get my GT2 RS slot and maybe give them a big deposit. So it's funny. It's all a game with these dealers, and it's just a manipulation of getting people to say this is what you have to do to amplify the profits of Porsche so you can get the car you want.
But they're still within the right time frame though with GT2. So GT2 always comes out at the end of the life cycle. So at the moment the 992.2 GT3 has been announced, then the GT3 RS will come out, then the GT2. So they haven't really sort of said they're not doing it yet. They just haven't announced it yet based on timings. So but I still think it's such an important car for Porsche.
It really is, all right.
Say again?
I said it really is such an important car. That is the final
Widowmaker.
The Widowmaker.
That's the one.
The one that everyone looks forward to.
Well, that's the second. That's I look forward to it just for the lap times in the Nürburgring. I just want to see how much quicker they can make this Porsche. So you look at based on the old ones. I was looking the other day. I was sort of just intrigued to see how much faster the 991 was compared to the 997, and then how much faster the 992 would be. So I went back and actually looked at it. And so 997 did a 7-minute 18 around the Nürburgring, and then the 991 as a base spec did a 6-minute 58.
Wow.
So it was 20 seconds quicker just as a base car. Put a Visac pack on that dropped another 10 seconds.
Wow.
And they put the Mantai Performance kit, that dropped another 10 seconds. So the second fastest car around the Nürburgring at the moment is a GT2RS with the Mantai Performance kit.
You're joking.
Did a 6-minute 38. So
second fastest
production car is a GT2RS, and that's on the 991 chassis, not in the 992. So you look at a 992 GT3 RS, that did a 6-minute 44. That's a naturally aspirated GT3, let alone a potential turbocharged GT2. So you're looking at numbers 6-minute 35, 6:30 for a bog standard GT2. It's quite interesting because Mercedes came out a couple of months ago, and they had the record at the moment with the Project One. They did a 6-minute 35. They've come out again and redid the lap time again, and they did a 6-minute 29. So they've beaten their own record. I think they're sitting there going, we're anticipating Porsche.
Why would they come out and do it again? Well, because they just feel like it didn't work out the first time.
The only reason why you do that is if you're under threat of losing it.
Right.
So they know that Porsche's coming out, and that's always the car that people go up against. When they go on the Nürburgring, it's always the GT2 or the GT3 RS. That's the car we need to beat. And that's why Mercedes have gone, oh God, here we go now. Well, how much quicker is this Porsche going to be around the Nürburgring?
I personally don't think that they're going to not bring it out. I just think that they'll probably end up getting the fine for that particular model and, average it out across the different models that they're bringing out.
Another thing that Shmi said in the video is, which wasn't mentioned, was when the GT3 got announced, the 992.2, it was actually slower than the 0.1.
No way.
Yeah, so they had to bring down the torque figures of the 0.2 to make the car. So as George was saying, it may have been hybrid, but now they've said no, it's actually naturally aspirated. So Porsche have just gone, okay, this is what we can do. This is the minimum what we can do. So it is now towards the end of the naturally aspirated flat 6. So. Yeah. But it's slower.
Another really interesting thing over here as well is that I think one of the most hyped up cars from Porsche that's coming out, that's a non-GT car, is the 992 Gen 2 GTS. Now, it looks like a run-of-the-mill 911, but with hybrid power and their 4-litre engine, is going to be probably one of the quickest production GTSs they've ever built. And that is so sought after. We're already seeing people trying to buy slots, talking about premium, and they've already said that it is going to be ridiculously quick and it's meant to be your everyday supercar, your everyday sports car. I think that will be a good base model to then see what happens going forward with their GT cars. Are they going to build on that? Are they then going to produce this GT2RS? And if so, how quick will it be?
I guess the 991 GT2RS customers are praying that they don't release this anyway.
100%. 991, the 997s, all of them. Just
what are they currently trading at?
Low 300s.
So 991 GT2RS is trading at around 300 at the moment.
Yeah, the
right?
low 300s.
And so if this doesn't come out, what do you guys think it'll go up to?
It'll have to follow suit and see where the 997 is. I reckon closer to the 500,000 mark.
No.
Yeah,
That
the
much of an increase?
997 GT2RSs, the last one we sold went for 500, just under 500.
But that
And
was
a
shortly
left-hand
after
drive.
it came out.
No, the 997.
Okay.
We did that about 2 years ago as one of the part exchanges against Veyron we had. And we thought, like, that's insane because it was a manual as well. So the 991 GT2RS has dropped in value considerably. And I never really put my finger on that, thinking, why? Why did they fall? It was like free falling, like when everything else was falling. I thought the GT2RSs will pretty much hold. But they dropped all the way from 400 down to the low 300s, and that's where they started moving again. And I do think that they're very undervalued for what they are. And if they're not going to make another GT2RS, that is not a bad car, the 991. I don't know why they fell in value. It's still ridiculously quick. Yes, they only came in PDK. Yes, they may not be the easiest car to handle, but you don't, like, you want something like that. You want something that's meant to be back-end happy. It's termed as the Widowmaker for a reason.
Well, look, if you go back, there's actually one online at the moment. There's a 993 GT2RS, the first ever GT2RS. How much is that up for? Over £1 million.
No.
For an original GT2RS.
Wow.
Yep. But they obviously didn't make that many at that time. They're very, very minimal cars they made back then. But, you know, that's what happened. Air-cooled GT2RSs.
Sure, a lot less were made around then, though,
Yeah.
as well. So I'd say with the 991, that there's probably a few thousand circulating
There's
the world.
the only
right?
indication you have with the 991 GT2RS, and it's an interesting one because we were asked this so many times, is how many watches they produced. And
Really?
they said they wasn't limited in production. It's not numbered, each car, but they released 2,500 watches with the GT2RSs, and they thought, okay, maybe that was roughly the amount of GT2RSs that were made. So that's the only indication you got to go by, which, by the way, 2,500 of what's meant to be their limited edition GT car is so much more. I mean, if you go back to what the 993s were doing, you're probably talking hundreds were made.
Yeah.
So here's some interesting news. The other day, you know, I think on this podcast we've had to go over the whole thing about so many cars getting stolen in and around London and how dangerous it is in the UK at the moment with cars getting nicked, right? Well, who would have ever thought that some cars will get nicked from Windsor Castle?
No way.
Now
Really?
imagine a stolen van has gone through the gates at Windsor Castle estate, right? I don't think, obviously not the main entrance, but one of the entrances. One of the guys has jumped over a 6-foot wall, and they've broken into the barn, taken a pickup truck, and taken a quad bike as well.
That is insane. And yeah, isn't there normally like a perimeter of guards all the way around the castle?
No, this is the castle, yeah, but the estate is huge.
Yeah.
Acres and acres of land, right? So maybe there's a way that they've gone through, you know, like if you go through Windsor Park. I don't know the details, but there's many different entrances to the estate. But just to think, I remember one time that in and around Ascot on the estate, a whole bunch of people have moved on there with caravans. And you know what it's like when that happens, it can be very problematic in getting the people off. Literally within 45 minutes, army trucks, this, that, and the other, they all came. Those guys went running. They just went running. They didn't hang about for a single second. But crazy. I hope they find the perpetrators, right?
But they stole a pickup truck and a quad bike.
Yeah.
Is that really worth it? I mean, I don't know.
I get it.
I don't understand. But why would you sell a pickup truck and a quad bike?
So I'm trying to paint a picture in my head, and the only thing that's coming across me is maybe they had one too many that night and thought, where are we? We're in Windsor.
Yeah.
Let's go and do something really fun and memorable.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, I have to have some sick and twisted mind to come up with that, but
Come out of the
surely,
Weatherspoons.
why? There's no value in that. Surely, if you're going to go and risk your life,
That's
you
what I
go
mean.
and do
Like,
it for
something more valuable.
from the castle. I don't know. Doesn't
Yeah.
it?
But saying what you're saying there, we were talking about this recently about the guy that ended up climbing over the walls at Buckingham Palace.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
He climbed over the walls, went straight through, went unnoticed, went up to the Queen's bedroom.
Had a 20-minute conversation with the Queen.
Yeah.
Just chilled up with the Queen for 20 minutes.
Was he not?
And he was properly pissed or something like that, right? And
This isn't the guy who's Justice for Dads or something? Well, that's a different
No,
guy.
that was different. This was like 20, 30 years ago that this would have happened. And he went to jail. Next segment, Deal of the Week. Yeah, so we're going to start off with you, George.
Yeah. We got offered a Huracan Evo Spider, which is a 20 plate, done 4,000 miles.
And what's so good about an Evo Spider versus a normal Huracan Spider?
Well, I mean, there's not much difference at all. But
Really?
when you look at it aesthetically, it looks like the same car. You've obviously got the different exhaust pipes which come out to the top in the middle. That's one of the biggest giveaways.
Yeah.
You've got the touchscreen infotainment system. And it's a bit more of a refined drive. I mean, the original Huracan, the 610-4, came out in 2014. So now the Evos have come out in 2019. That's a 5-year.
It's a huge gap,
Yeah,
right?
5-year gap. So, I mean, that's a 10-year-old car, the 610, so they had to have made some changes.
Yeah.
But because the Huracan was doing so well, and even till now, it still looks like a modern-day supercar, there was only so much that they could change on it. But the reason I think it's Deal of the Week is there are no more V10s being produced by Lamborghini. And the Evo Spider, for example, this one, got offered for 170 with a retail price of just shy of 190. So, yeah, this guy needed to get out, and he offered it as a quick trade purchase. But it just comes back to the whole V10 market altogether. That Evo Spider is, or that Evo in general, is the very last four-wheel drive V10 Lamborghini being made. And I think if you look at it long-term and you hold on to it for a bit, with the Tema Maria being announced, being a V8 twin-turbo hybrid system, surely that Evo is one to hang on to. And then...
It's a funny thing, actually. And you've just jogged something in my memory. I was with a friend a few days ago, and we'd taken his Evo Spider off him and sold it for him.
Yeah.
He's just said to me the other day he's missing it so bad he'd love to get back into it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there you go.
Interesting. Okay.
There's another customer we spoke to as well had the same issue with a Lamborghini. He had an SVJ, sold it for a Revuelto, and regrets it.
Regrets it now.
He wants to go back into an SVJ.
I mean, I don't know why he would have ever sold the SVJ for the Revuelto. That makes zero sense.
It looks 10 times better than the Revuelto.
Sounds that... Well, Revuelto, I think, looks really
I'm
good.
still adamant that SVJ looks 10 times better than
SVJ
that.
is one of the best modern-day supercars made.
Oh, man.
But just coming back onto the V10 conversation again, the Evos are a great deal, but what I think is the true hidden gem in today's market for the values that they're going for,
Performante.
for roughly 170, just under 170 if you try and grab yourself a bargain, you can get the very last track-focused, four-wheel drive V10 Lamborghini made. I mean...
I agree with that.
You look at some of the cars and you look at the markets, you look at the market pricing on them over the past 5 to 10 years, and you say, this is going to be the very last of it. For example, the Speciale, the last naturally aspirated V8, and they shot from 200 going all the way up to 300 or 400. And they're going to continue to carry on going.
You're right.
That Performante is going to be a £500,000 car one day.
Oh, come on.
100% is going to be a £500,000 car one day.
Did somebody put something in his tea? Huh?
And also, in my opinion,
Do you want me to put
find
something
it.
in your tea?
I think in my opinion as well, I think the Performante is the best Huracan they've made.
Okay.
And that's better than the STO. It's better than
Yeah,
the
100%.
Technica.
Better than the
It's
STO.
Better than the STO.
The STO is a rear-wheel drive car. I mean,
Yep.
it's not the perfectly balanced V10 that you want.
Yep.
It's a fairly heavy engine on the back, which gives it enough weight on the back. But, yeah, you speak to anyone who owns an STO and they don't love it.
They don't love it, yeah.
I don't know.
It's very, very out there, and it's way too expensive for the track. It's very focused for the track, whereas a Performante is a perfect balance. You can drive a Performante every day with comfort seats easily and get away with it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, put it into Corsa mode and suddenly turn it into a track weapon. That is Yeah, I think
That's the
that is a hidden gem of this market.
And what about yourself?
Performante, 100%. I agree everything what George is saying. The Performante, I think they're the cheapest they're ever going to be right now. Performante with comfort seats, you can't go wrong.
But you'd have to go. So you'd say comfort seats is a must.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, bucket seats. Yeah, you do.
I mean, like 80% of the market want comfort seats in these, but you then do come across some people. We were dealing with a Malaysian customer not long ago, and he said, I was trying to sell we sold his friend a Performante, and he said, oh, it's really funny, you guys are charging extra because you've got comfort seats. Over here, my Performante is, it's got bucket seats, and we had to pay extra for that. And I was like, oh, okay, it's interesting. So it might not be a worldwide thing. Maybe it's because of the roads down here, or maybe it's people's ideology. And then out there, they just want carbon everything. So,
but I suppose if somebody actually wants to buy it for what it's designed for, which is putting it on a track, then bloody hell, then you have to have bucket seats, right?
Yeah.
So finance deal of the week. It's a bit of a different one this time. We're going into hypercar territory. And we got a £15,000 monthly budget with a £100,000 deposit. Okay. What would you go for?
I think that's an easy one for me. Actually, I say it's an easy one. I was a bit on the fence because do you go modern day, but it's not quite a hypercar, something like an 812 competition?
Wow. Okay. What about you?
So, I mean, for that budget, there's a few good options. I think I was also looking at the Competizione or even the TDFs. I think they were quite good buys, but I think I could probably stick to the Holy Trinity as well, but deviate to my favourite, which is the 918 Spider, which I think you could probably get, not a Vice-like pack, I think just a normal one, which I'm happy with, for just over $1 million. So there was one, they don't stick around that long. There was one, I think Romans had one, and then there was another one online for just over $1 million, and they're both gone. They both got snapped up. So,
so that's without Weissach pack.
Yep.
But if you did have a Weissach pack, how much more does it?
1.2.
So it's about 200 grand difference.
200 grand difference for the Weissach pack. Yeah.
It's a high mile car, 1.2 with Weissach.
Yeah, there's a couple online now with not so much 5,000-6,000 miles about that. So yeah, 1.2. But I think
and what would the numbers look like on something like that?
So yeah, similar to George. So 105 grand deposit, about £14,779 a month.
Okay, that's
very specific.
Very specific.
Yeah.
And leaves enough to go and get a couple of coffees every single week.
Yeah, exactly.
For next year. All right. So,
can I just add a point before you make your decision? You've got the McLaren P1, which is in its own class.
Slower than the 918.
We're not talking about speed here. Who's going to be tracking in a £1 million car? Your P1. The only comparison to it is the P1 GTR, which is only focused for the track, or you go and do a conversion, you can use it on the road, which is pointless because it's a racing style seat and it's bucket seats and it's a proper track car. The 918, you turn up at the lights and you're sitting alongside you and your mate's got a 918 Weissach pack. You just spent £1 million to feel like you haven't even got the best version of that car.
What does the Weissach pack have on it?
A load of carbon, makes it lighter, different suspension, and adds a few more. Oh yeah, liquid magnesium wheels.
That's fun.
I mean, is this something that you could at a later stage upgrade it to a Weissach pack?
You can, yeah.
So then, on that basis,
oh well, no, but then give me the additional £300,000 or £400,000 to go and do the conversion. And
on the P1?
On the P1, yeah, and I do it to do it
like an MSO. Okay, GTR.
But then you'll get to kind of devalue it. I'll just keep it a stock standard 918. And as we all know...
No, you wouldn't devalue it by making a Weissach pack.
Well, maybe you would. I don't know, it depends.
No, because if the changes are like, superficial, they're just kind of...
If we've learned anything about our industry is that the more original the car is, the more greater value it is down the line. So
I agree. I
think even if it's just a normal 918, I still think untouched is going to be a collectible.
This is such a hard one. Like, I would all day long for looks go for the McLaren, but for reliability go for the Porsche, and that's the problem.
And
because if that battery on the P1 goes, you're in it for what, a couple of £100,000 at least?
About 100 grand. But you've also got the chance of the battery in the Porsche going
as well. Doesn't say, the Porsche has a battery as well.
Yeah, but the battery's not going to be as expensive as the McLaren, surely.
Oh, well, a lithium battery.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay, Only
Just
based on the
remember
fact that
your mate's going to have a Weissach pack and you're going to turn up in a non-Weissach pack.
And then there's going to be a P1 GTR come up next to you as well. So
Which is pointless.
no, because that's
the
a
same
different.
thing.
That's not chalk and cheese.
You
It's the
can't
same
even
thing.
use the GTR on the road unless you do a conversion. What's the point? It's pointless.
So that P1 versus GTR, they're two different cars, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, two different
But
variants.
as the Weissach pack versus the non-Weissach pack,
No one would make.
it
No,
just
no one
you
would know the
skipped out.
difference.
I mean, I don't know anyone who
No
ordered.
one would know the
I don't know
difference.
anyone who ordered a 991 GT2RS without a Weissach pack, and if they did, it's probably like in a scrapyard somewhere. I've never
Really?
seen one on the market. Like, it's pointless.
God, George is convincing, man. Just give me one more thing to consider.
A 992 GT3RS on the market, a non-Weissach pack car, was selling for below list about 3 months before a Weissach pack GT3RS was selling.
Was there only 918 of these made?
Yes.
And of the McLaren?
799.
No, there wasn't. That's
Yeah.
the P1.
Yeah, P1.
375.
375.
Oh, okay, it's even
375 P1s.
375
All right,
P1s
thank you,
are made.
mate. I'm going for the P1. I'm sorry. Okay, celebrity car of the week. So a segment where we're highlighting who has bought a car recently in the public space. Last week was Lando Norris. And today is Cristiano Ronaldo. He's recently made an addition to his fleet, and it's a SP3 Ferrari. Amazing car, right? How much is that worth?
Listed at about 2.7, and now they're trading. Well, they're not trading in the open market, but if you want to buy one, you're looking at the best part of $1 million premium.
$1 million premium. Okay,
Yeah.
that is quite a lot of money.
Yeah.
Over, right?
And there's still a V12. That's
Yeah.
why.
Ah, okay, makes sense. But his entire car collection is probably worth like anywhere between probably £30 million to £40 million, right? This guy has got so many amazing cars in his fleet. And here's some of them. He bought a special edition Bugatti Veyron.
La Voiture Noire. Well, rumoured to buy that one, but I don't.
Yeah. Well, supposedly he bought it for 11 million euros.
Yeah. Didn't they make that completely for him? It was like a bespoke design. Whoever did buy it, it was said that he was one of Bugatti's most valued customers, and they created this masterpiece just for him.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he does have a Bugatti Veyron as well, and a Bugatti 110. Is that
110.
110? Okay, okay, and he does have a Bugatti 110. Man,
No, from the called pasta.
yeah. So he also has a. Yeah. And he also has a Bugatti 110, which means 110 in
110.
Italian, right? Okay, good.
110.
110. Thank you. Thanks for pointing that out. He's got a McLaren Senna and a Phantom Ghost and a Ferrari Parasangue as well, amongst many other cars. Yep. And he also was involved in a car crash on his way to training when he was at Manchester United, right?
Yeah.
In a Ferrari 599.
I still stand on it. He has to be one of the most avid petrol heads out there, probably one of the best car collections, because what's actually quite interesting here is he's gifted his mother cars, he's gifted his brother cars, he's gifted his missus cars. So this car collection that they're saying is worth so and so probably doesn't take into consideration that he's got cars all over the world.
Yeah.
He's got cars in Italy, he's got cars in Spain, he's got cars in Portugal, he's got cars in the UK, he's got cars in Saudi, and Dubai as well. He's got a lovely villa in the Palm. And all of his family members that he's been buying cars for as well. So I think he collectively has to have one of the best car collections. Maybe not so much into the classic side of things, but whenever the latest car comes out, just trust Ronaldo will have that.
Well, it's funny that in 2016's Champions League, when he won it with Real Madrid, he bought himself a Ferrari F12 TDF as a present to himself. Nice. That's pretty cool, huh? Classy guy.
Didn't you get into some bidding war with Lionel Messi?
I don't know now. That was something that Messi came out and said that's just nonsense, and it's about a 335 Ferrari. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a what was it called again? 335S Spider Scaglietti.
Okay, and so that achieved like crazy money in an auction, right? And it was 25 million euros, I think, at the time, which then hit a record for one of the most expensive cars ever sold. And then rumors started to come out that it was Messi and Ronaldo bidding against one another. And then Ronaldo missed out on it. And then Messi came out with a picture of him and a little toy car, a Hot Wheels car, saying, I won this. I won this. But he definitely didn't agree to the fact that he won such an expensive car. But interesting. You would have thought by now he would have been seen driving it or something, right?
Or find it in his collection somewhere, or parked up in his garage, or a picture of it.
Exactly.
It sounds very clickbait.
Yeah, very. All right, guys, 2 cars, 3 questions. Andres, I'm going to start with you. Yeah?
Yep.
What are your 2 cars?
So the first car I chose is a Rolls-Royce Cullinan Black Badge. So not the Series 2, the Series 1. Okay. So they're listed for about 342 plus options. They skyrocketed, when they first came out, back qualifying cars, trading up towards 450, 500 grand.
Wow.
Now the Series 2's come out now, so that's dropped a lot of the values. So you could pick one up now. We've got one in stock for 299, 900. Okay.
Wow, that's 150 grand less. That's crazy.
So,
not with much mileage on it, I take it, right?
No, not that much mileage. They've all got decent specs, Starlight headlining, and...
Would you own one?
Yeah, I think I would. I think they are really good. They had a hard rap at the start when they first came out, an SUV Rolls-Royce, but I think they've aged really nicely. They still drive brilliantly. They're all very Rolls-Royce-esque, They look good. Anywhere you go, people go, oh my God, wow, it's a Rolls-Royce.
I think back when they came out, there was a lot of talks of...
Looks like a black cab.
Looks like a black cab, very boxy, not what a Rolls-Royce should be, but I think...
It's definitely grown on the market. They found that there was a gap in the market for someone who wanted to have a car that was available to be chauffeured in, but at the same time, if his driver's not working that day, he can take it out and it won't look weird. The Cullinan is perfect for that. I mean, they tried to do it with the Ghost, but at the same time, he sat in the Ghost, and it almost does feel like it should be illegal to be driving that car. You should be sat in the back.
Yeah.
The Cullinan is your everyday SUV. It's you can drive it. They won't think you're a chauffeur driver, and you can sit in the back if you do have a chauffeur driver.
What's your other car then?
So my other one is Lamborghini Aventador SV Roadster. So list price was circa about 400 grand. Again, they've gone up. They went up 500, 600 grand. Now they've come down again. They're probably the cheapest they're ever going to be. So around 300 to 350. You can pick up an SV Roadster now. So we got one in stock. The black one sitting behind you. That's at 339,900. So I think that's another car of good value.
Would you own it?
Definitely, yeah, 100%. I would definitely own an SV Roadster.
Okay. Yourself?
So, start off with the Huracan Evo Spider 60th Anniversary Edition. They listed at circa 260. We've now got one in stock for 250, 249,900. And secondly, I would say the Ferrari SF90 Stradale. They listed with options on average about 400, just under 400. And now you can
I remember them going selling for like 550 easily all day.
We had one of the first ones, the SF90 Stralies, when they came in. That had the Assetto Fiorano pack, and we were advertising that for 500,000. Managed to move it. So
crazy.
It's that's the Ferrari hype. When you've got it in, you're saying it's the first one in the market. People will pay.
People will pay the crazy money.
Yeah, but then it has taken a fall just as quick. You can now pick them up, and they're being advertised online. We've got one in stock for 309,900. So
that is very good value for money. Huh?
Very good value for money.
And to think that it gives most hypercars a run for their money.
Exactly. The best part of 1,000 brake horsepower on a Ferrari.
Okay, so finally, we've been looking at the market, we're seeing what's moving and what's dropping in price and what's increasing in price. Most recently, the Ferrari 296 has moved quite a bit, hasn't it?
Significantly.
Go on, tell me about it.
I mean, they listed for 300-ish, give or take, depending on options, and they were trading when they first came out. I mean, they were on the market for those amounts. Where they were trading for them amounts, I'm not really sure. But now they've dropped to the cheapest one on the market now is about 189,900 for a GTB.
That is crazy.
Yeah, and again, a car which I think is very underrated. I was very anti V6 296, but I drove it and I thought, wow, this is really good, really good.
And it
you
looks
know,
amazing.
and it looks great. And I just so
I can't see them going much lower than that. No.
Oh, 100% can.
Really?
They've made way too many of them. They've force-sold them to their customers.
Wow.
I reckon the 296 will settle, the coupes will probably settle around the 150, 140 mark soon.
But then 150 mark then means that the 488s have to go down.
It's a different car. The 296 is V6 hybrid, and I think people will go for that if they want the perfect track car. At that money, at around roughly 150, you can't get a better track car.
But still, surely it has to push down the 488.
It will, and then at the same time, I think people want the noise and they want the drama that the 296 doesn't quite give them. And then I think that's where the 488 comes into a part of its own. And a lot of people are a bit skeptical about the new Ferrari designs. So from the SF90 to the 296, they're not such a big fan of the lights and the back and the front, the whole touchscreen stuff. They're not